Hey guys! Good morning! How are you guys doing this morning? For some reason it's loading a little slow, but hey, looks like we're there now. My goodness, if I can speak. Good morning. Let me know how you're doing this morning. I'm gonna grab it so we can, fix this just for 1 minute. We're gonna let Facebook let you know that we're here. When you join, hashtag Live Squad and let me know what you have going on this week. Are you guys going out of town for Thanksgiving or are you staying in town? What are your Thanksgiving plans? Let me know that. We are going out of town. So, okay. There we go. Hey, Estrella! Yay! Okay, I'm seeing live comments come through. Perfect. So are you guys ready? Like, I just have a question for you. If you had to describe, or if you not had to, if you got to, because intentional language is key, right? So if you get to describe this free training in one word, what would it be? And if your one word is IDK, then guess what? You still have time to go back, watch the trainings, and I have a really important tip for you. Make sure that you register for this, even though this is technically the last day. Make sure that you can register because registration is still open, and that way you get the information sent to you in your email, and guess what? You have a little more time to hang on to it because I promise you that the training that we went over this weekend, it is so compact, and we put this big life transforming information in front of you for just a 4-day time period and asked you to do something every single night. And this work that you were prompted to do is, it is truthfully transformational if you actually do it. And so some of you have personality types where you can just jump in and go and it'll click and it'll hit. And some of you may be so primed and ready for this. You've been searching for these answers for so long that you're just ready to receive them. But some of you may not be quite there. Some of you may need a little more time to process and chew on some things and sit on it and digest a little more and understand it and really let it soak in. And some of you may just have to get over yourself, right? Because sometimes we get in our own way. So some of you may have to get over yourself to be able to dive into these. And if you wait around, you will not have the videos in here anymore. So make sure that you register brennasanford.us/events, okay? You can register there, get all this information sent to your email. All right, so are you ready? You ready to jump in this morning? Well, today is our bonus day, day 5, and I am so thrilled about the information that is in here because it is mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. So just a quick recap. On day 1, we talked about awakening to overwhelm, not sticking our head in the sand and ignorance is bliss. We are seeing the truth around us so that then we can step into day 2 with confidence and become really aware of the moments in our day. We can become really aware of the rhythms and the atmosphere that is in our day and our thoughts in the middle of those, right? And so we worked on day 2, we worked on setting up, what those days look like and what the rhythms are, what the atmosphere are, and identifying some different things about those. So day 3, we talked about making a choice. Day 3 is the day to choose, is making a choice on whether or not you're going to take action, because day 3 is all about taking action. So are we going to keep living in the same overwhelmed, frustration, tired, anxious, depressed, sad, crazy, hectic life? Or are we going to begin living? Are we going to begin creating the moments that we actually want to live and doing the work, taking the steps to make it happen? Because mama, you can make it happen. Life doesn't have to happen to you. you get to, with the kingdom authority that has been given you and the way you were designed and created, you get to step up and say no. You get to make choices. And so, are you going to choose to link arms with me and let's journey together and work together and go through this? Are we going to really take a 4-day free training and make it life transformational for you? Are we going to continue working together after this training ends? So day 4 was about affirming to create the moments that you really want to create. Day 4 kind of took what we had been working on so far and kind of wrapped it all up together for us and said, hey, you know, you've been working on and taking and doing each of these steps. So now we're going to focus on the affirmations that we need to have in place to create and intentionally create before we ever even begin, before we ever even really get the day going. That way life doesn't get a chance to happen to us. We are already creating and stepping into it. We set up affirmations for those moments of overwhelm. We set up affirmations and aromatherapy methods for the moments that we know we're going to enter and those transition moments. And when we feel ourselves spiraling, we set up stuff for when we lay our head on the pillow. Like, what are we going to sleep thinking about, right? And so anyways, I'm so crazy, amazing, excited to have just been able to hang out here with you today and share this. It literally, like, my soul gets set on fire and I just like want to jump out of my skin because it's so amazing. And I know, and I've shared with you guys the story, my story and my journey of emotional freedom and what that was like. So I know where you are and I know that it's hard. I also know that many of us here are in one of two boats. We are either like, you know, this is just life. It's just life with kids. It's a busy life. It's just what I have. And this is what it is. And I'm not like overly overwhelmed and I am not, you know, depressed. You know, this is just life, right? And then the other part of us are like, oh my gosh, I can barely keep my head above the water. Like, how am I going to hang on? And so I just want to say to you that no matter which one of those two you are in, like, this is for you. Go back to day 1. Remember, there's no point, no amount of overwhelm that you were created to live with. All of this, like, crazy chaos, can't see the forest for the trees type of, like, yucky fog that's in your brain on most days. You were not created to live with that. The Bible says be alert of sober mind, right? So we can't be alert unless we are awakened. And alert and aware are synonyms, right? So today, we're going to look at a piece of the puzzle that is so helpful in understanding, right, how this all works. So if you're still with me, give me a comment, say I'm still here. Let's go. Let's jump in. Grab a drink real quick. All right. The word to remember for today is simple. It is simple. Today is all about frequency, right? That's what today is about. So if you got your email, if you have already registered, then you got your email with your guidebook sheet for today. It says frequency, simple tools, right? Today is about frequency and it's simple, okay? So let me turn the music down. And we're going to turn this off. And I'm going to make sure the computer is on Do Not Disturb. Okay. So, God is our portion, right? He is our portion. It's who He is, right? God is our portion. It's who He is. He is more than able to do anything and everything. He is more than able to at any moment like swoop in and just wrap you up and lift you out of where you are and set you in a new place. He is able to do, right? He is also a God who chose to partner with you. He is also a God who chose to partner with you, not just for you. So yesterday I was in church and my neck was feeling yucky and I was thinking, like, man, I wonder if there's anybody in our church family who is a massage therapist who can help me out with this. And I was just thinking, and we were in worship when I was thinking about this, and I'm like, I'm just so thankful that God gave his people, his children, gifts and talents and abilities that allow us to help serve each other and work with each other. And then that just led me to thinking about like how amazing God is that he chose, right? He already had the angels and all the celestial beings that have no choice but to worship him because of who he is. But he chose to create humanity, to create humankind, to live on earth in communion with him, giving us a choice, right? He chose to give us a choice and to work with us. And like that just spider webbed and trailed and snowballed, or whatever you want to say, into this conversation that I was having with the Lord in worship time at church yesterday. And I'm like, and he reminded me of some of the interactions that I have with my children, and how sometimes they just really are tired and exhausted and they want me to do things for them. Sometimes they're just maybe just feeling a little lazy and want me to do things for them, and I know as a mom, when my child is super exhausted and tired and really like cannot, do something, and so he gets my help, he gets my aid. I work with him, or maybe instead of, if he's already, asleep and lethargic, maybe I carry him to his bed instead of making him walk to it, right? So we have these moments like this, but then we also have moments where he's just like, I don't want to do this math homework. I just want you to give me the answer. I don't want to think about it. Can you just do it for me? And I'm like, no, I cannot. You can do this on your own, right? And so you know how to do this. You have the ability to do it. I am here to help you if you need help, but first you have to do it so that I can see what you're doing and maybe and help aid you and direct you, right? But you have to make that first step. Like, you have to start doing the homework first before I can see where you are and maybe where you're getting off a little bit, and I can see how and when I need to come in and aid you, right? And so there's just this imagery of that happening in my heart and in my soul, and I was like, thank you, Lord. Like, thank you that you choose to work with us and not just for us. Thank you that you choose to let us like take the steps and be with you. Like, you're not just, it's like if we just carried our kids all the time and we didn't make them learn how to walk. Like, thank you that we get to have independence and that we get to learn how to walk on our own, right? And so God is a God who is with us. Like, he is more than able to do for us, but he is with us, and he asks us to partner with him and to do this life with him and be in that relationship. And because that is what he has asked of us, you guys, God has equipped us to be able to do and serve and live, right? It's not that we can live without him, but he has given us tools. He's taught us how to walk. So we can walk instead of him carrying us the whole time. There will be times where we fall down, where we stumble, where God will just out of his love come in and swoop up and carry us and lift us from one to another. My little baby, he is walking, and he still has a little baby walk where, he walks with his arms up in the air and everything, and he's gotten to where he likes to put things around, like try to put things on. And so he had something that he had put around his neck, and not like choking himself, but it was just kind of draped over the back. It was just laying there, and he just walked up to me and goes, Mom. And I just swooped that little kid up and just loved on him. And he didn't come over and ask me to swoop him up. He didn't need me to swoop him up. He didn't necessarily even have a big problem or anything like that. He wasn't crying or upset, but I just swooped him up and loved on him. I'm like, thank you, Lord, that, yeah, you do swoop us up and love on us. Thank you that you do that. And also, I set him back down, and he went about walking and going on and living, right? And so that's what we get to do. So if you're thankful for that, drop a thankful in the comments. Let me know that you're still here. Hashtag Live Squad if you're watching live with me. Hashtag replay if you are watching the replay. And let us know what you're doing this week for Thanksgiving. Okay, making sure I'm not missing anything over here. Great. So, God has equipped us with tools, spiritually and physically. Like, we have spirit tools, we have physical tools, because we live in a spirit and physical world. right? So he has given us tools for each of these pieces of this world that we live in. And so one of the physical tools that he has equipped us with is our aromatherapy products. So everything that we're working on here, we are using spiritual and physical tools that the Lord has equipped us with. We are using wisdom. We are using discipline. We are using the ability to become aware of what we're thinking. We're using the ability to change our thoughts, which, hey, it might be a spiritual tool, but that one right there might be physical also. Like, it's so crazy. And if you really dive down deep into the inner workings of all of it, like, you can get really overwhelmed, right? You can get really overwhelmed. That can happen to us. And so I'm going to jumping ahead just a little bit, but then we'll come back to it, okay? But the crazy paradox is, and this is where we are today, is that God is magnificently intricate and complex and so simple all at the same time, right? That is the paradox that blows my mind. And so that's just kind of the heart of where today is coming from. So we're going to get into a little bit. I want to teach you guys about frequency, because frequency is one of those things that as you learn that you can change your thoughts and you can be in control of your emotions and you can change those beliefs in you. Like, frequency is just one of those things that just kind of fits in all of this, all right? We are communicating right now through like all this stuff in the atmosphere that we live in that we can't even see. I can't see this broadcast leaving from my computer into the internet world and landing wherever you are, right? So there's a lot of stuff that we can't see and we don't fully understand, but we still use it. So that's what we're doing. We're going to get just a little tiny bit of understanding, and we are going to be okay using all of these tools that we use when we work on your PAMs, okay? So one of the physical tools that he has equipped us with is our aromatherapy products. You guys, this isn't new. Essential oils are not new. In Genesis, God set Adam and Eve in the garden, naked, skin touching all the beautiful vegetation that God had provided them, right? So Adam and Eve were literally infused in botanicals that they lived with, right? So these are your fill-ins, okay? God has equipped us with tools, spiritual and physical. For some reason, my highlighted part did not print out for me. So I'm underlining real quick just so I don't forget to tell you guys to check your paper and follow along, right? So your first fill-in, God has equipped us with tools, physical and spiritual, all right? Adam and Eve, fill-in number 2, were infused by the botanicals that they lived with. They were literally infused with them. Then, post-fall, there's the first reference of oils in the biblical book of Genesis with Moses' father, right? So Jesus, he was given gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Like the woman anointed Jesus with the alabaster jar of perfume. Oil, perfume, ointment, fragrance, anoint. These are all mentions of oils in the Bible. So you guys, they're not new. It's not something kooky and crazy that, just come out in the last 5-10 years. Like, it's not new, all right? It's a part of everyday life way back when. So nothing God did was by accident. You guys, are you like, nothing he did was by accident? There was no accident. Everything he did was, is, and always will be very intricate and on purpose. Look at one of the most simplest things around you, right? Whatever it might be. The fact that you have light. Like, it's so simple and normal and everyday for us to have light. But if you look at how we actually have light in all of the detail, most of us can't really understand it. We know we just flip a switch and the light comes on or goes off. The process of actually having light, right, and the electricity and the things that we live with every day is actually very, very intricate when you get down and break down what is actually happening. So this is where, again, that paradox comes into play, fill-in number 3. The paradox is that God is magnificently complex, there's your fill-in, and so simple at the same time. God is magnificently complex and yet so very simple all at the same time. So we're going to be discussing the simple. You guys, I'm a simple kind of girl. Like, let me know in the comments, are you complex or are you simple? What is it? I'm basic. There's extra and basic. That might be like so last year, so 2019. I don't know. But anyway, I'm a simple kind of girl. Complexity is trying to understand the fullness of God and all of his mysteries, and simple is knowing that I know that God is complex and fabulous and miraculous and all of this stuff at the same time, but I just accept it because I know it. I don't feel like I have to understand all of the details, right? There's nothing that God can do that can shock me, right? There's nothing that would shock me. He is miraculous, but his miracles are also so normal. His miracles are miraculous, but they're also so normal because it's who God is. Estrella, I'm basic. Y'all, me too. Me too. So I was saying, it was the other day we had when my family was over, we were playing cards. I forgot what came up, and the word that I used that came out was I've always been gullible. But then I realized, no, gullible is not the right word. Intentional words we're speaking here, right? Being aware of our beliefs and our mindsets. I said, no, I'm not gullible. I am trusting. I'm trusting, and I always have been trusting. It's who I am. It's who God created me to be. I am trusting, and I trust God. Like, that's just it. It's that simple to me. So it's that basic. So let's go on. Let's move on. So when I stepped into understanding this portion of this tool, like, I was just super blown away. Until I realized the simplicity. Like, I remember getting really caught up right here and like trying to understand all of the details. And there's so much to understand and learn and know. And it's not that trying to understand was bad. I reached a point where, like, God, it's just so simple. Like, I've seen it work. You have used all of these tools, all of these steps, all of these happy mom hacks that we've been going over, and you've changed my life with them. I don't have to understand. I just know that it works, right? So, frequency. What is it? All right? God created the earth and everything in it by speaking. Okay? Speaking words carry vibration. The vibrational frequency of our voice, that when it leaves us, it goes through the air to be heard, right? That's how we hear. It's how we speak, how we hear. So, when God spoke and created, he infused his creation with his vibrational frequency. Now, this is a measurement. And every living thing has a measurable vibrational frequency. Say, I'm measured. Give me in the comments. I'm measured. Right? I'm measured. I'm here. We measure everything. It's a part of our human nature, right? It's how we know things, and it's where we draw our baselines from, and just how we function, right? And everything. We measure everything. So here's a few measurements for you. The healthy human body's frequency is measured at 62 plus megahertz. Illness starts at 57 to 60 megahertz. Our bodies are receptive to cancer at 42 megahertz, and death begins at 25 megahertz. Right? That's crazy. So it's literally measured. It is literally measured. Here are some other things that have a measurable frequency. Negative thoughts can decrease our frequency by up to 12 megahertz. So how many negative thoughts are you thinking? And just write a 12 out there beside all of them. And let's just say you're 62 megahertz. You start you start thinking negative thoughts all the time. You become susceptible to illnesses. Don't think negative thoughts. That's why we replace them, right? And speak our affirmations. A positive thought can increase our frequency by 10 megahertz. So are you guys following along with this? Negative thought decreases it by 12. A positive thought increases it by 10. You have to think 2 positive thoughts just to overcome the 1 negative thought that you thought. Right? I know, crazy. But get this, prayer and meditation can increase our frequency by 15 megahertz. So when we pray and we meditate, and it's getting to a place, so it's more than just like a thought of prayer. Thank you, Jesus. For that, it's like actually like praying and stepping into prayer. And so that prayer and meditation can increase our frequency by 15, right? How incredible is this? Like it's so incredible. Okay. All right. We're not at a fill-in yet. We're almost to a fill-in. All right. Did you know that emotions also have a measurable vibrational frequency? Did you know that? Emotion literally means energy in motion. Like emotion means energy in motion. And I know that I just want to take a moment, Christian. Let me talk to my Christian mamas right now. There are specific words that we can get a little like with, because the things of the world that are not God and yet that are trying to intimidate and not intimidate, but why did I just lose the word? You know, where you act like it. What's the I word? Someone give me a comment. What's the I word I'm looking for? Imitate. That's it. The things that are of the world that are not of God, that's trying to imitate the things of God, have tried to take some of these words and meanings from us, and we have just like, oh, we're too afraid. We don't want to let anything get us. But I'm telling you right now, you are a woman of God. You are a child of God. Nothing can harm you. You are amazing. There is no power that the devil has over you, right? You are chosen. You are freed. You are delivered. You stomp the heads of the snakes, right? So you got this. I don't want you to get all like yicky feeling, all right? So just know this is the Lord we're talking about, all right? So emotion is energy in motion. Emotions resonate with the vibrational frequency that they generate. So again, energy is even lights. Energy is like all around us all the time in so many different fashions, and we can't understand them all, I'm sure. But emotions resonate with the vibrational frequency that they generate. So, and like example, I'm gonna give you a couple examples, okay? So I want you guys to pay attention to the descriptions that we're about to go into, and like pay attention to which one resonates with you, okay? Example is like enlightenment, right? Think about when you have like that spiritual download, and then like there's just this light bulb that comes on. Like enlightenment has the highest vibrational frequency at 700 plus. Joy, the emotion of joy, has a frequency of 540. The emotion of anger has a frequency of 150, right? So, you ready? Start paying attention to some of these. Emotions can feel fluid and spacious, like a deep state of meditation, like that bliss. Like think about that worship experience moment where you're just like, I'm floating. I'm not even standing with my feet on the ground right now. The presence of God is so powerful and so all around me. And it's just this like, there's no words for it, right? So think about that. Emotions can feel fluid and spacious like that. Emotions can feel like ripples on a lake. They're not disturbing, but you're still able to feel their sensations. Emotions can be like a torrent river, like that is like the state of panic or fear, right? It can feel very unstable, rushing and going, right? The emotional energy vibration can be like an earthquake tremor, such as in a state of anxiety, like you've lost your footing, like where is it going? The emotional energy of vibration can be intensifying charges, like as in the state of anger. You know, when you feel anger, right? You have those. It does. It feels like that charge, right? That's why people who have anger issues, they say they have a short fuse because they just explode, right? Emotional energy can be like a tsunami wave that hits you full force, like in the state of grief, pulling you down and under. You know, when you can't feel like you're just not able to breathe anymore, right? An emotional energy of depression feels like just very heavy, as if you're just almost lifeless, like you can't move. You know, when you're in that and it's just so hard to even get out of bed in the morning? Like it takes everything you have just to get up, right? That is an emotional feeling, the emotional state of depression. That is what that feels like. But listen, all right? Those are just measurements, you guys. Those are just measurements. Remember, they are motion. Emotions is energy in motion. It is able to be moved, right? So you can see that this can be really complex to understand. And take your big deep breath. Or it can be really simple. All right, so we're going for simple. Simple is that we feel, is that what we feel can be measured and can be influenced and changed, right? So what we feel can be measured, it can be influenced and be changed, but it also can be measured and influences and can change inside of us, can change and influence our well-being. So simple is that in everything, right? 1 Corinthians, I believe it's 10, God has provided a way out. In everything, God has provided a way. He says, I have not tempted you, but in everything, I have provided a way out so that you may stand up under it. Right? So our emotions can change us, but we can change our emotions. So I want to give you a few other things. And if you didn't know, just go ahead, which description resonated with you, jot that down. It's one of your fill-ins. All right. But I want to give you a few ways that you can influence your vibrational frequency, right? And as we influence, let's say we are operating at like a vibrational frequency measured at like 200. Let's just say 200. All right. The vibrational frequency of anger was only at 150. So if we are operating at a vibration and we are doing things to keep our energy and our life going at this higher vibration, when we feel that anger, and even that anger generates a vibrational frequency of 150 and we're setting that at 200, that anger can't stick around. It can't resonate there because it can only resonate in the vibration that it generates. So when we are keeping ourselves and we are doing things daily to keep our vibrations high, we can't, if we have that impulse, that trigger of anger, it can't stick around physically because it can't hang out and that ends anything that is not the lower vibration that it puts off. Does that make sense? That makes sense? A little bit, just basic, guys. Basic, simple understanding. So here are a few other things that have vibrational frequency, that have measurements that you can use to raise your frequency, right? Processed foods have 0 megahertz, meaning that it does nothing positive for your health, okay? It's not going to add, it's not going to help bring your vibrational frequency up. Real food, raw, real food, things that are alive are the only foods that will raise your frequency. Coffee, even holding a cup of coffee, do y'all remember my little coffee fun facts? Even holding this cup of coffee can lower your body frequency by 8 megahertz. Taking a sip lowers it by 14. But, remember, there was a but to that. When essential oils are inhaled following exposure to coffee, the bodily frequencies restore themselves in less than a minute. But if no oils are administered, it can take up to 3 days for the body to recover from even 1 drink of coffee. How crazy is that? And that's mind-blowing. Like I said, if you love your coffee, like you might not love that fun fact, but just know that you have tools that you can use to, expand it. So you can still have your coffee. Jesus Oils coffee. All right, essential oils have frequencies as well, which can raise our body's frequency. They range from 52 megahertz all the way up to over 500 megahertz. Music. You guys, did you know that music carries frequency? Just as the words that we speak, there's another one. The words that we speak, our voice puts off the vibrational frequency. That's what we hear. It's those waves, right? Music also carries vibrational frequency. So think about like your praise and worship experiences. Think about you've turned on some praise and worship music. Like think about your happy, upbeat songs even. Like music carries vibrational frequencies. So your words that you speak also carry vibrational frequency. The words that you speak also carry vibrational frequency. So when we have affirmations and we put them into place, Mama, that is not just for you to say in your mind. It is for you to speak out with your voice, to hear yourself say, to create, right? To create the fullness of the experience for this, to lift you up. And it's so important. When you partner those positive words, those affirmations with real raw foods, with music that is uplifting to your soul, with your aromatherapy products, you have the ability in prayer, you guys, you have the ability to take those spoken words and just like maximize. You know the difference when you're in your car? Like, who lives in a hot climate? Who lives in a hot climate? That's me. Tell me where you live if you live in a hot climate. I live in Oklahoma and it gets hot. And there is a difference. When you get in your car and it's just on AC, then when you hit that max AC button, there is a difference. And so just like when you hit that max AC button and it kicks that air conditioner up, and it works a lot faster and a lot better and a lot stronger, when you use all of these things that we use together and that we've talked about, and you use them together, you are hitting that max AC button. And when you're intentional, when you're aware of something, right? So that's just even more so when you're aware of something. When I'm aware that the words I'm speaking are carrying a vibrational frequency that I can then use, that the vibrational frequency that is keeping me alive uses and attaches onto, when my children who are carrying vibrational frequencies, when I speak something positive or negative to them, that it affects their vibrational frequencies. I mean, when I can grasp that or just be aware of it, not even have to fully understand it, but just be aware of it, then I get to hit that max AC button and intensify this, right? And really put it all together. And so this isn't, you guys, this isn't to explain away God. And I keep going to this because I cannot tell you how many conversations I have had with Christians of various beliefs and their points and spots with the Lord that are like, well, and they feel like it's explaining away. And you guys, I've been there. I remember not wanting, like, I will put the oil on my kid when he gets sick. I will diffuse the oil to make it smell nice, right? But I am not using an oil for prayer. I am not using an oil to help my emotions feel better. What are you thinking? Are you crazy? I'm not conjuring up the Spirit of God. I've been there, okay? So I'm telling you personally, and the Lord convicted me when I was like, no. He convicted me. And he said, do not limit me. Do not put me in a box. He said, do not limit me. Do not put a ceiling on what I can do in and through you and for you. And I had to say, okay, God, I won't, but you're going to have to show me. I trust you. I don't understand, but I trust you. So you're just going to have to show me. And you guys, he blew me out of the stinking water. Like, he brought me into emotional freedom that goes way beyond. That goes way beyond anything I could have asked, thought, or imagined, right? Because that's who he is. So we're not explaining away God. We can never, ever, ever do that. But he has given us ways to understand pieces of him. We are never going to be able to fully understand all of who he is. And your understanding of who he is and what he has shown you in your life, it may be different than mine. Probably will be. Right? It probably will be. But God is so amazing. And he loves us all that he has given us these tools. So, you have the right 3 things that raise your vibrations. That's all the stuff we went through. Okay? If you found yourself resonating with descriptions of the lifeless or the torrent emotions, Mama, it's time to do something about it. It's time to do something about it. It's time to make a choice for your life. Work with me. Work with me. Let's link arms and let's do this together. because the Lord has so much for you. He has so much for you. And just as he has gifted some of his children with the amazing ability to like really get in and work and move the muscles and help relieve the pain in my neck and my shoulders and my back, and to know the pressure points and know how to apply just the right amount and just the right spot and move and work that through. Just as he has given those gifts and abilities and those talents to that child to serve the rest of us, to me, he has given the gifts and the abilities of helping you, to serve you. Not because I'm special, but because you're special. Because you're worth it. Because your emotional freedom is worth far more than you have given it value. God has assigned so much more worth, so much more value to your emotional freedom than you have ever even thought about. So let's work together, because you're worth it. Let's step into the emotional freedom that he has given you. The last question on your fill-in for today is, what emotion do you want to feel? What is the emotion that you want to feel at the end of the day? When you lay your head on a pillow, what emotion do you want to feel? Use 3 to 5 words and describe how you like to feel at the end of your day. Okay? And as you think about that, I'm going to show you the back part of your bonus day, day 5. This is my Worth It journal. My Worth It journal page is for you to prayerfully process and see how worth it you are. You are so worth it. So, you have some time and you think through the reflection and vision, right? So there are reflection questions in here and there are vision questions. Get real with yourself. I'm going to challenge you, get real with yourself. Sometimes we like to, put on our little Christian face and say, oh no. Or we want to put on our martyr backpack and carry it around and say, no, this isn't heavy. I've got it. Take the mask off, take the backpack off, all right? Get real with yourself. And if you've already done the worksheets for days 1 through 4, then you can pull from those because it's a lot of the same questions, okay? So the first question, what my overwhelm does to me and my family. What my overwhelm does to me and my family. This is a judgment-free zone, okay? Judgment-free zone. But when you get really real with yourself and you become fully awake to realize that the overwhelm that you carry and that you're living with, it affects you and your family, right? You're going to see that there's something there that could be worked on. Again, judgment-free zone. This isn't about measuring how bad anyone is. This isn't about seeing who has the most overwhelm. This isn't about seeing who has the least. Remember that any amount of overwhelm, frustration, fear, anxiety, worry, chaos, anything that is not from God, right? Any amount of that you have is more than you were ever created to live with. Okay? It's more than you were ever created to live with. Not saying that something, some circumstance might trigger an overwhelm, might trigger an emotion, might trigger something like that, but don't live with it. Remember, you get to kick it out. You get to say, get out my house, all right? Or you get to invite it to stay with you a while. It's your choice. So, but any amount that overwhelm is more than you were ever created to live with. We identify what the effects are so that we can gain an insight to see if it's something that we want to continue to live with or not. Okay? So, secondly, little box right here. Identify what words describe your current days and what words you want to identify your current days. So, if you did the homework from the previous days, you have some of this already. What are the words that describe the days that you are currently living? And then what are the words that you want to describe the days that you're living? So put in 3 to 5 5 to 10 words. Put them down. All right. Thirdly, assess where your family will be and what your days will look like, feel like, and sound like in 5 years if, number one, nothing changes. If you continue to allow the little things to pile on and keep on going, if you continue to carry that martyr backpack or live in that denial where you're not fully awake, right? If you continue to do nothing in 5 years, what will the effects be on you and your family? If nothing changes, where will you be in 5 years? What will your days look like? And then on the flip side of that, if you choose life, if you choose emotional freedom and to link arms with me and your Father and create the days that you were meant to live, if you choose to take action and step into your worth, what will your life and your family's life look like, feel like, sound like? What will it be like in 5 years? I can tell you that 5 years ago, I never imagined I would get to live the life that I'm living today. Not that we're perfect. Ask my kids. We believe wholeheartedly in biblical parenting. Ask my kids. They still get stern mom voice. There are moments where mom voice has to get really loud just so they can hear me. But also ask my kids how long it's been since they thought a monster was in their house and it was just their mom yelling. Yeah, that happened to me. Terrified, one of my children thought there was a monster in our house because of the way that I was yelling. Because I was overwhelmed and frustrated and tired and give out, and I was done. I was just done with life, done with the issues that my husband and I were facing, done with the frustrations because I wasn't living and filling my purpose in my 9-to-5 job, done with not knowing how to parent and how to take care of these kids. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. 5 years ago, I never would have known that my husband and I could be on a page that is so connected and so together like we are now. 5 years ago, I wouldn't have known that I could start teaching my children how to have control over their minds and emotions. 5 years ago, I wouldn't know that I'd be sitting in church thinking about how my son told his cousin that he does everything wrong. And then the Lord remind me of a picture that I have hanging in my house that represents the river of grace that he pours out onto us because his grace is sufficient for every day. That my son doesn't ever have to worry about being enough or doing everything right because the Father has him in his hands and has given him a brother who is his Savior, who is the perfect offering for him, who steps in and makes my son perfect, who steps in and makes my son enough. 5 years ago, I wouldn't have known to even be paying attention to that. 5 years ago, I didn't know what it was like to live with God in my everyday. 5 years ago, I was going to church and just like thirsting for church experiences because that was the only time that I really felt fed and fueled because the rest of life overwhelmed me. And I didn't live with the Lord. I was trying to live for him out of my own manner, out of my own abilities. 5 years ago, I didn't know that I could be emotionally sound enough to feel my little frustrated teenage 2-year-old fits come on and process through them and go on and live my day and not let them rob me. 5 years ago, I didn't know any of this was possible. But God did. God did. And he journeyed me through this, and now I get to help link arms with you and help you journey through this. So let's do it. Let's do it. You can go to brettastanford.us, click the Work With Me tab, and let's do it. All right, Mama. I can't wait to work with you. I'm so happy and excited for you, and I will see you on the other side of this.